AVT's fifth-year option. The New York Jets are going to have to make a decision on it soon, just after the NFL draft. I want to take a look at what Joe Douglas said, what I think he meant, and how I would handle the AVT situation.
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets!
We haven't talked about that yet, but we have a little time after the draft. But I'll definitely update you guys on that post-draft.
All right, welcome in. So you just heard Joe Douglas talking about Alijah Vera-Tucker's fifth-year option, and should the New York Jets extend him or exercise the fifth-year option. And that deadline to make that decision is coming up. It's just after the NFL draft. I believe it's Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going to have 2 days after the NFL draft to decide whether or not he is going to exercise Zach Wilson, actually, and AVT's fifth-year option. Now, as far as AVT is concerned, he's missed the last 2 seasons, or a large chunk of the last 2 seasons, thanks to Denver's stadium and grass, with a popped Achilles and a torn tricep. So, look, there's a lot to be concerned with from an injury perspective. Now, I do view it a little bit differently than the Mekhi Becton injuries. Becton had the knee injuries, he's got the weight issues, and it was always seeming like he couldn't quite get into a good rehab headspace, and then also just couldn't stay healthy on the knee. So that I don't really have the same concern with AVT. AVT looked like a friggin' animal both times, literally every time he's been on the field. And the injuries that he had, kind of freak injuries. You don't really pop Achilles and you don't really tear triceps consistently in your career the same way you would with like soft tissue injuries or like knee injuries and that sort of stuff. So I definitely view it a little bit differently than the Mekhi Becton side of things. Now, as far as should the Jets do it, there's a few things that come into play. Obviously, the cost is a big factor in this, and the fifth-year options are right here. Bam! People don't know there's 4 fifth-year options. So for AVT, it's either the basic $15.3 million option. There is the playing time threshold, which would be $16 million. There is the if you make 1 Pro Bowl, and then if you make 2 Pro Bowls. So obviously, with the injuries, AVT is slated to be the first option here at $15.3 million. That would make him either the 11th highest paid guard or the 21st highest paid offensive tackle, depending on where he actually ends up playing on the offensive line. So early on in the process, I was of the mindset that I think AVT is going to be a tackle because of that particular number. 21st highest paid guard, especially when you have or 21st highest paid tackle, especially when you're dealing with the injuries, is a little bit easier to swallow than maybe paying the 11th highest paid guard. Now, the positional flexibility is all well and good. I like that a lot. The issue with taking a guard or a center in the first round of the draft is that the fifth-year option is going to be that of the highest paid offensive lineman across the board, I guess. There's not like a left tackle tag, a guard tag, and a center tag. Same way the franchise tag works. It's all one lump, position group. The same way that, I guess it's the only position group that does that. I think everything else actually has things slotted out. But either way, not ideal. AVT coming in at 21st highest paid tackle, 11th highest paid guard. Would you actually do it? And does Joe Douglas think that he's going to do it? That sort of puts you in this space of, are the Jets going to take an offensive lineman very high? There's rumors around Talese Funga, who could be a right guard, right tackle combination. It could be Troy Fautanu from Washington, the guard tackle hybrid that can play left tackle, left guard, right tackle, right guard. That's been a very popular pick for Jet fans. So I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on. I do think that the Jets like AVT enough. I mean, heck, Joe Douglas said at the end of his post-season press conference that AVT is a cornerstone of this offensive line. So that, to me, tells me that he really likes him. Obviously, he traded 2 third-round picks in the draft to get AVT at the 14th overall pick. So I think this is a little bit of gamesmanship. I think they know they're going to exercise AVT's fifth-year option because you're looking at a 2-year window anyway. Why would you want to open up another hole on your offensive line when you have a guy who's really good as long as he's healthy? Now, if there's a situation where you can renegotiate a contract and you could say, hey, AVT, we want to pay you as long as you're healthy, we would like to extend you a little bit longer, I would be fine with that too. I think that's actually a better route to go, but then it's also on AVT to actually accept that type of deal. He may be saying like, hey, I'm cool with hitting free agency a year earlier, playing in a franchise or in a contract year in 2024 if you decline my 5th year option, and then I get to ball out with Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to get myself a pretty little penny at the end of this. So for me, I think Joe Douglas definitely thinks he's going to exercise AVT's 5th year option. I think what this is telling me a little bit more is I don't think the Jets want to tip their hand in the draft. Now, obviously, you don't want to tip your hand in the draft, but there's been some comments coming out from like little questions that were asked, and this one did like pique my interest because I do think that a lot of people around the NFL assume the Jets want an offensive lineman because of AVT's injury, because Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses are on 1-year contracts, because you could upgrade from John Simpson on the left-hand side. Like, there's a lot to like about the offensive line and a selection at number 10. But if you were going for another position, any position, doesn't matter what it is, if you're trying to go for another position and trying to get a player to fall to you, it might behoove you to convince someone else to come up for an offensive lineman maybe right in front of you, the same way the Steelers did last year with Broderick Jones, only this year it may potentially be planned in that respect. So I don't think the Jets are going to go with a first-round offensive lineman. Now, there could be a situation where maybe I sort of have it in my head, it's going to be Odunze, Bowers, and Fetanu as like the 3 guys they're kind of looking at. So maybe there's a situation where they draft Fetanu because Bowers went ahead of the Jets or Odunze went ahead of the Jets, and now you've sort of gotten to this next layer, and Fetanu, who is basically considered the AVT of this draft class, maybe that's the route they decide to go, and then you feel a little bit okay declining AVT's 5th year option. Now, I still don't buy it. I think he's going to be here. I still think the plan is to build this team around the next 2 years, and honestly, AVT's 5th year option is not that wildly crazy in comparison to like the rest of the roster, and I'm sure the Jets could probably add void years onto it or something like that where they push cap hit off, and Joe Douglas may not be here for it. So, like, to me, I think you try to keep everyone happy while you're here without trying to upset a whole bunch of stuff, and you try to win this year, and then worst case scenario, you just have to push cap further off into the future, which I want to go all in for a Super Bowl these next 2 years. So I could care less about 2026 and beyond, as long as I have the money to retain some of our key pieces that are on rookie contracts right now. Garrett, Sauce, Brees, Jermaine, that sort of thing. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. Would you exercise AVT's 5th year option? Do you want to decline AVT's 5th year option? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets. Thank you guys so much for hitting the like and subscribe button on these videos. It goes a long way towards growing the channel. And then occasionally I get sponsors like this. So if you want to help support the sponsor of the channel, or maybe just get yourself some cool gear or some good discounts, you can click the link in the description down below. Today's sponsor, 𝐶𝐿 is going to give you 25% off your order using promo code JetsTalk. Link in the description down below. They've got gummies, THC syrup, THC seltzers. I just discovered these things. They are incredible. As someone who has been trying to cut down a little bit of their alcohol consumption and not, maybe feel as crummy the next day, this has been a godsend for me. Keep me nice and calm, cool, and collected, especially with all the hurdles that our Jets throw our way and all the headaches that we got to deal with as fans. So if you guys want to help support the channel, maybe get yourself a little bit of a discount as well. Support the sponsor of the channel, 𝐶𝐿. Thank you so much for watching the show.